Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. WildMax1 here bringing you another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today we're going to be doing another champion guide, this time on one of the first great pulls that I ever had on my account. Absolutely carried me through the early and mid game. I'm talking, of course, about the Magic Affinity support from the Ogryn Tribes faction, Uugo. I'll be doing a skills breakdown, showing you how to build her right, and finally showcasing her in Doom Tower, Faction Wars, and in the arena. With that, let's get into it. So Uugo was released in January of 2021 and immediately became a favorite as a progression champion, someone that excels in wave-based content and can really hold your team together with cleanse, heal, and AoE debuffs. Then with the addition of Hydra Clan Boss, Uugo really saw her value skyrocket. So let's take a look at her kit. On her A1, Black Hand. Attacks one enemy, has a 35% chance of placing a leech debuff for 2 turns. This chance increases by 5% for each alive enemy. So if we're talking arena, that's a 55% chance to place a leech, same in Hydra. This is a really good A1. Leech just provides additional healing, and she is a support champ. She's there to try to make sure that your damage dealers can do their job and stay alive. On her A2, Maelstrom Rack, and this is really the ability that Uugo is known for. Attacks all enemies, has a 75 booking up to 100% chance of placing the big decreased defense, also has a 50% booking up to 75% chance of placing block buffs. The chance to place block buffs increases by 5% for each alive enemy. Same mechanic as with the leech on our A1. This is on a 4-turn, booking down to a 3-turn cooldown. So on a 3-turn cooldown, you essentially have decreased defense and block buffs on the same ability. For an epic, that is an amazing ability. Now, there is a conditional, of course, on the block buffs, but you're mostly going to be using Uugo, especially once you get to mid and late game, in things like Hydra, Doom Tower, Faction Wars, a lot of places where there's multiple enemies out on the field, arena also. So in order to get that up to 100% from the 75, Uugo needs to be facing a minimum of 5 enemies or 4 enemies along with the Sniper Mastery, which spoiler alert, I am going to recommend you build on her. On her A3, Uugo's Brew. Removes all heal reduction debuffs from all allies, then removes 1 additional random debuff, then heals everybody by 20% of Uugo's max HP. If, however, all allies are dead, revives them with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. This is on a 6-turn, booking down to a 4-turn cooldown. So, really good ability. It is kind of a soft cleanse because it only removes 1 random debuff, but that is still really nice in pretty much virtually all content in the game. Then heals by 20% of this champion's max HP. That means if we stack HP on Uugo, this can be a pretty massive heal. And of course, it is nice to have that conditional revive. Since Uugo is going to be built pretty survivable, there is a chance that in progression content, she may be your last surviving member. And in that case, this is kind of like a big res button that you can push and everybody comes back. So that is nice. But for the most part, just the heal and the cleanse are really what this A3 is all about, and it makes it really great on her. And finally, her passive, Final Spite, places a 30% increased speed and a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever this champion's last living ally is killed. So whenever she's the last one standing, this is going to trigger, making sure that she stays alive with that block damage buff, increasing her speed, giving her a chance to get to her, hopefully off cooldown, Uugo's Brew, so that you can then go ahead and res everybody with this. So this synergizes nicely with her A3 on a 5-turn cooldown. Really solid kit, nothing to complain about, right? For an epic support, you have great debuffs, you've got a cleanse, a heal, and a conditional revive if your group is about to wipe. This is a really, really amazing kit for Uugo, and it's why she is so popular as an epic support. For total stats, on her HP, 19.6k, really good for an epic support. Attack, even though she is an attack-based damage dealer, you're not really going to be building her for damage with only 1 single target hitting damage ability. Defense at 1250, so between the HP and a defense, really easy to make her survivable and make sure that she's there to support your team. 102 speed, also really good. Just a really solid, good stats. So when you're going to be building her, you're going to be making sure that she's going to be fast enough for whatever content you're going to be running her in. You're going to be making sure that you stack as much HP on her as possible. It's going to be making sure that she, A, survives, so she can be that last remaining member if you're on progression. That way she can revive your team. Also, her Uugo's Brew heals for 20% of her max HP, which can get really high considering it's almost 20k. And then finally, you're going to be building some defense on her. And then you want to make sure that you get, just like with speed, enough accuracy for whatever content you're running, whether that's hard, brutal, or Nightmare Hydra, hard Doom Tower, Arena, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you're getting that decreased defense and the block buffs on her. And with that, let's go take a look at how I have my Uugo built. So when I first picked up Uugo, she was pretty much on every single one of my teams. Between the decreased defense to support my damage dealers, the block buffs for disruption, and the cleanse and the heal to support my healing, she was so good. Nowadays, I'm pretty much just using her in Faction Wars, and now Faction Wars Hard, she's once again going to be carrying me there. I use her in certain secret rooms in the Doom Tower, and I also use her in certain Cursed City rotations. She used to be in my Hydra teams, and I've tried her in actually quite a few different gear sets. In my opinion, the best possible build that you can put on her is anything that's going to support her using her abilities as often as possible, because that's really where she gets her value, right? You want to make sure that she's going to be getting that A2 off as often as possible, because chances are if you're bringing her for some place like Hydra, you really want to make sure block buffs stays up on the heads. And if she's your only block buffs champion, you really want to make sure that she's using it as often as she can. So provided that you build her speedy, accurate, and survivable, the best sets that you can get on her are going to be Relentless, because that helps her cycle through her turns and get through to her A2 and her A3 faster. Reflex, because again, random skill cooldowns, and of course Impulse, but that's a little bit less accessible than the other two. If you don't have any of those, then one of the easiest sets you can put on her that's still incredibly valuable because it gives her accuracy and speed, two of the stats that she needs the most, is of course going to be Perception. As you can see from my Uugo, I still have her in a two-piece Perception along with the Reflex set. Now, I specifically chose Reflex over Relentless because I do have both because of the Hydra turn changes. Since the 1500 turn limit was introduced, I don't want to have Uugo taking turns away from my damage dealers using the Relentless proc. So Reflex works best for that. I think if I had Reflex and Impulse, that would probably be my number one choice. After that, it would be Reflex Perception or Reflex Feral. And then, you know, if you don't have Reflex either, you can easily just do six-piece Perception, and she's just still going to be phenomenal. You can make an argument for a lot of different sets, honestly. If you need her to really survive and you're worried about her survivability, Regeneration's great on her. You can obviously put her in a Provoke set if you want to get her to possibly proc that for you, cover another role in Hydra. You can put her in a Stun set for more wave-based crowd control. You can put her in a Toxic set for a little more damage. Whatever you want, honestly, just make sure that her stats are correct. So for my actual gear, again, 4-piece Reflex, 2-piece Perception, and 2-piece Pinpoint that I was able to get through my accessories. For my ring, HP Ring, ideally with HP Ascension, HP Amulet, HP Ascension, and Accuracy Banner, HP or Accuracy Ascension's fine. For her gloves, HP or Defense % gloves are both fine with either on the Ascension, and HP and Defense, either one on the chest. Again, she scales better off of HP percentage with her A3, and she has really high HP. However, if you do need some defense for the content that you're running, don't be afraid to put defense % on one of them. For my boots, I have speed with speed. And again, I prioritize defense, HP %, speed, and accuracy on pretty much all substats. For total stats on my Uugo, we're looking at 90k HP, 3.8k defense, 284 speed, and 511 accuracy. Again, I understand these are not the most attainable Uugo stats for a lot of earlier game players, especially. I do have her 4-piece or 4-star Ascended, and she is fully empowered with full Faction Guardians. So some of these stats may look very different, but again, as long as she's fast enough to run into whatever content you're bringing her into, she's accurate enough to land her debuffs, and the rest just pour into HP and defense, and you're going to be really happy with how she performs for you. So for my relic on Uugo, I put a Molten Death Bell on her. I had lying around. It does have accuracy and defense, both stats that she really likes. The passive on it obviously doesn't do anything for her, but again, for her, I was just looking for stats. So if you're struggling to meet accuracy requirements for whatever content you're going to be running her in, just slapping something with good stats on her in the relic slot is going to be great for her. Of course, if you want to put something a little bit better on her, a little bit higher end, let's say you're absolutely swimming in the relics, then let's take a look at some of the best ones in the game right now. Obviously, if you have if price is no object to you on her, Hallowed Hilt would be phenomenal on her. Speed, HP, res, along with that fervor buff for the team. If you want to bring her into arena and you want to make sure she's not getting sheeped or penalized for her debuffs she's putting on, Wand of Submission, one of the best ones that you can put on there. I think, though, realistically, you're probably not going to be putting any mythic or legendary relics on her. So I think one of the best epic relics that I saw that works really well with her kit and kind of does something similar to the sets like Reflex and Relentless on her is Perched Shadow, one of the new Faction Wars relics. So wearer has a 10% chance to receive an extra turn when using their default skill if at least one active skill is on cooldown. So effectively working kind of like a Relentless proc, assuming one of her skills is on cooldown, which brings them back faster. Again, HP, defense, speed, all stats that she loves. For my money, this would probably be one of the best Uugo relics that I could find. For blessings on Uugo, I think the best one you can go with is Cruelty. She's going to be using her A2, AoE. It's really good at decreasing enemy defense, especially in Hydra. She's going to be using it a lot if you have her in Relentless or Reflex or in Impulse. So this is going to be really good for her. Cruelty, probably the best one. If you already have a Cruelty user or don't want to put that on her for whatever reason, you can also put her with Miracle Heal if you are worried about destroyed max HP, or you could, of course, put her in Survival Instinct, which gives her more turn meter whenever debuffs are placed on the team. Finally, to round out the build, let's go to Masteries. Let me move myself here as I talk through this. All right, so primary, I went down the offense tree, just pretty much beelined it down to pick up the War Master Mastery. Want to have her do a little bit extra damage in PvE encounters. For my secondary tree, I went with the support tree, picked up all the accuracy masteries here, pinpoint accuracy, charge focus, and swarm smiter, and then have cycle of magic here to have her get her cooldowns off her abilities even faster. Then we have Master Hexer. She's obviously placing debuffs, want to make sure they stay on as long as possible. And finally, as we discussed earlier, the Sniper Mastery, because we want to make sure that that block buffs is a guarantee in Hydra and in Arena. Now, if you don't want to go down and pick up War Master, let's say you're building your high resistance gear as a build, then you can come down to the defense tree. I'd probably come down and pick up Delay Death, and then maybe have Retribution, and then come down and pick up Unshakable. That would be another option. Alternatively, if you are missing some accuracy in your gear, you can obviously come down and pick up Eagle Eye to make sure that she meets whatever accuracy requirements you need in whatever you're running. So the first place I wanted to showcase Uugo in today's video is going to be in Doom Tower Hard in a secret room. Now, this is effectively going to be showcasing my Faction Wars as well as Doom Tower because the current condition is Ogryn Tribe's faction only. So we're going to go in here with Uugo and show you why she's so useful when it comes to this specific kind of content. So I'm just going to run this on auto for a little bit. Uugo is immediately going to be going in and giving me block buffs as well as decreased defense, setting up my damage dealers, although they don't deal that much damage, but very, very helpful. Every time you see a block buff going up, that would have been something popping up on this wave. So as you saw, there were multiple. There were probably close to 15 or 20 at this point that have been blocked. Maneater, particularly, one of the more annoying champions just because he puts on that unkillable. So this would have been taking me a really long time without Uugo on this current squad. Really, really helpful. Again, Maelstrom Rack, and there you saw the Reflex proc. So that could have gone on the Maelstrom Rack, or that could have gone on Ugo's. Either way, we're going to be getting to the next wave here. There you saw another proc there. So now we're about to see, here we go, and it's back up just as it needed to be in order for this double Maneater wave to not get their unkillable buffs and derail and cause this to take way longer than it needed to. So we're not going to go all the way to the end here because, as you can see, I'm clearing this just fine. But again, Uugo being in Faction Wars, look at all those buffs blocked. Look at all those buffs blocked. Uugo being in Faction Wars, Uugo being in Doom Tower or Cursed City absolutely carries some stages just with those two abilities that she has that are so, so powerful for AoE wave-based content. So the next place I want to showcase Uugo is going to be in Classic Arena. So we've built a team with Arbias as a speed lead and TM booster, Cheshire Cat as my DPS, Uugo there to cleanse and debuff, and also Ancora to revive. So we're going to start this one on auto. As you saw there, we were facing 2 mythicals, one of them being a nice, very annoying champions. Let's see how this one works out. All right, so Uugo immediately going in with the block buffs and putting everybody under block buffs. Now, the nice is typically going to be able to throw a unkillable on himself and then proceed to just wreak havoc, kill my champions, revive his own team. But because he had a block buffs on, he was not able to do that. And then this was an effective way to kill him and make sure that he wasn't able to swing the momentum of the match in the opponent's favor. Thank you, Uugo. And finally, just because we didn't get a chance to showcase it anywhere else, I just wanted to show off what Uugo can do with her res, how that looks. So we're just going to go and put in 3 random rares with her to act as teammates who are really squishy and who get knocked down. And Uugo's going to be there to save the day. All right, so in this case, unfortunately, we got taunted. Let's see what happens here. Can Uugo do it for us? Sure enough, here we go. And there it is. So teammates got rezzed. Uugo was the only one there. Uugo's brew was used, and there we go. Unfortunately, it's not going to save her in this match, but again, for content you may be running like progression or an arena or wherever else, that is a good last chance ditch at swinging the match around in your favor. And there you have it, everybody. Uugo, one of the best epic supports in the game. Make sure she's built fast, make sure she's built accurate and survivable, and she's going to carry you through wave-based content, Hydra, and all over the game. If you found today's guide helpful, please like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments below if there's any other champs that you'd like to see a guide for. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.